Hey y'all, just coming on quickly to let you guys come out and garden with me. I'm gonna be planting some seeds in here. You can see that little plate, or I'm gonna set you up there while I plant some seeds down in this raised bed. And let me know, these are the cabbages. I'm gonna let you guys get a good look at those. Should I try to cook those? Is that still food? Do you remember how damaged they were? But now look at how good they look. But I'm gonna give it a try. Hang on, let me grab my stuff and I'll be right back. All right, so I think you're set up good. Hey. So what I think I'm going to do over here is plant some squash, and then in the smaller raised bed that I made the video earlier, I'm going to plant some beets and radishes, and hopefully, again, it's probably too hot for stuff like that, but we'll see. So, how have the gardening season been going for you guys so far? I'm excited for this year. Like we break this up a bit. Have lofty plans for the garden this year. I was hoping to get 2 more of these 16 by 4 raised beds right here. Remember tomato row last year? I'm hoping to get the tomatoes planted in raised beds like this. They did pretty good, but I think it could have been better. Just make sure everything's broken up and loose in here. But yeah, I am excited for this year. Hopefully, today is the 20th of April, so I'm hoping to get everything planted out, all of my starts, and my I'm not gonna use this today. You've seen my tomatoes are all looking good, and I'll show you those again in a minute. And the peppers they're still inside, but they look good too. I'm gonna plant, I know these plants could get pretty big, so I'll give it 2 square feet. So I'll plant 2, 1, and then 2, and then go down a little bit and do the same thing. Hopefully give this stuff enough space. I'm gonna plant 2 seeds in 1. Hole. Give them enough space. Just show you what I'm planting right now. But the zucchini, the long white of Palermo, That's what I'm planting here. First, I have 2 of those. And then next, I'll do the Romanesca. It's a zucchini that's green and white striped. The seed packet doesn't have any real details on it, but I guess this one right here would be more similar to what it looks like. Smooth down. About 24 inches or so. And plant 2 more here. Another 2 seeds over here. Oops. Didn't want to cover them up yet just so I can see where I'm going. All right. That's the zucchini. I have some yellow squash. This early crookneck variety golden squash. I'll do a couple seeds right here. Then same thing over on this side. Alright, I think that's it for the squash. I have some vining type squash that I want to plant, but I need to get my trellises up first. It's the Tromboncino and the Cucuzzi. I don't know. I'll see about this one. Because I know that it could get really big and crazy. But definitely this one. And towards the end of this bed, I think I'll do at the end, let me flip you guys around. After we get the other bed up, I have this arch is in the ground. After we get the other beds up, I'm going to put this arch in this bed, arching from this one over, from this bed over into the next one. So instead of being anchored into the ground, it'll be anchored into the raised bed so that the plants will be able to grow in the raised bed instead of the ground. Because if you all remember, I am trying to avoid growing in the ground because of all of the nut trees that we have in our area. Nut trees. I know I have a lot of new subscribers, so hey, thank y'all for joining. But I mentioned last year that the reason why I prefer to grow in raised beds are because of the nut trees that we have growing on our property, and they produce a chemical called jugulone. I can't. I'd have to put it at the bottom of the screen. But it prevents other things from growing near it, so that all of the nutrients are available for the tree itself. So having the raised beds, we can keep the nutrients in the raised bed and available to our vegetables. So our tomatoes did do pretty good last year, but not as well as I know that they could do. And I think that they would do a lot better if we did raised beds for the tomatoes again. So I want to have 2 more of these 16-foot long raised beds. This is the bed right here that I just planted the squash in, and that the cabbages are left over in. And I want to get 2 more of these 16-foot long beds to go where I have these 16-foot long cattle panels to grow my tomatoes in, so they'll be in raised beds too. All right, hang on a second. Here's another view. Got this arch right here that's currently in the ground next to this raised bed. I want to go from this bed over to the second one that will be here along this panel, and then these 2 panels will have a 16-foot raised bed. So there'll be 3 16-foot raised beds here, and I'm hoping that along here I have all of this material waiting and ready to get 3 more 8-foot raised beds there. And I'm hoping we'll be able to get that done this year. But I'm excited to do what I can so far. So now get a closer look at these cabbages. Remember earlier this year I gave an update and they were looking really sad because the frost got them. Well, of course the weather warmed back up and we hadn't had any real cold nights. And I have one, you see there's still some frost damage on the tips, but this one has a tiny little head, and the rest of them are like this one, where it looks like it might have a tiny head trying to start, but it's getting warm enough that, like that one, is trying to go to seed. So should I cut these out, give them to the chickens, or can I cook them? I think I'm gonna try to cook them, but it's gonna be all of the tough green leaves that most people peel off a cabbage. So I don't, does that just mean I cook them a little bit longer like collard greens? I guess it wouldn't hurt. I could try it. And the chickens will still eat cooked greens, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. And now let me get my supplies together, and I'm gonna go over and plant in that raised bed that I put the lettuces and cucumbers in earlier. I'm gonna plant some nasturtium while I'm out here. One towards the middle, this area right here. If you see, I stuck these little red tags in just to show me where I planted the squash. Can you all hear me? I hope so. I took that mic off. It was driving me bananas. The nasturtium seeds are really hard. I'm gonna take my little tool and scratch them a little bit. Another thing that you could do is just soak these overnight, but can you see where I just scratched that just a little bit? That's 3 seeds there. Put another little tag. All right, let's go over to the other bed. All right, so we've got those watered in. Let me grab my stool and gloves and my little hoe thing. And we'll go over here to the other raised bed. So here we are. Lettuces need some water. Oh, look at there. I hope they transfer okay. All right, let me get them some water and then get ready. Okay, so they've gotten a good soaking, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, this is a compression sleeve. It's not like a tattoo sleeve thing. Anyway, I gave them a good soaking. I'm gonna plant the seeds. I'm gonna try to do beets and radishes right now, and then once I get those seeds in, I'll give them another good soaking to make sure that the water gets down good and deep to the roots. All right, let me get planting. Oh, let me show you a variety. I'm gonna do a couple more of the Nasturtium. I'm gonna put them in the, we're over here by the little, ta-da! See how good everything in here is looking in my wheelbarrow. And the flowers did end up getting really black since I planted them out here. It's really nice. Sage is looking good, and this, I can't even remember the name of this thing. Lobularia. I know it's supposed to get really big, but I'm still gonna put a Nasturtium seed over on the side over here. Let me grab that. Just in a corner. And I'm not gonna even scarify or scratch those. And I'll put one in each corner, one over there, and then one in this corner, because it's looking kind of bare. And Nasturtium will trail, so it should fall over if it grows before this gets too big. But, all right, so let's go back over to the raised bed. All right, and see if my mitt's coming back here pretty good. Now the radishes that I'm gonna plant, this is the Pusa Galumbi. And the reason why I chose this one, it says that it can tolerate summer temperatures. So hopefully this one will be okay with the temperatures warming up pretty good. And this one too says reasonably warm weather tolerant. So that's why I'm trying these two radishes out here. And I'm also gonna try some beets and see how they turn out. I have not had any success growing beets yet, but I'm gonna try it again. All right, let me get those planted. Hang on a second. All right, you guys, it is getting sunny and hot. I'm going to go ahead and cover these up and get them watered in good, and I think that is it for the day. All right, thank you again for following along with me, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye. All right, you guys, so this is what we have planted, and if you notice, let me get my shadow out of there. When I started these rows, how dry the soil still is, even though I watered for a pretty decent amount of time, or it felt like I was. It still didn't get down. I may have scratched up about an inch of soil to get these really small seeds down. But this first row next to the lettuce, just halfway until we get to the butter crunch lettuce, are the beets, and then the Pusa Gumby radish. I have a whole row of those all the way down, and then in between my basil, I have the scarlet, or the early scarlet gold. So along here, basil, and then along here, and then the other basil. Okay, so maybe I told a little story. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to fill and plant those. I have some more of the Black Magic petunia here, some clematis that is struggling. My other petunia got a little dried out, but I have those two little raised beds that I got from Amazon. Do you remember I mentioned those in a video previously? This is my entryway arch, and I'm gonna plant those with some clematis to go over my my arch. And I also have, I'm gonna go get these soaking, some of these, the butterfly peas. These flowers make pretty blue tea, but I love the color especially, and they are a climbing vine. So I'm hoping that as these clematis are getting settled in, I had them in under my grow lights and they were doing really well. But then I brought them out and we had a crazy windstorm and they got dried out really bad. And like this one right here is struggling really, really bad. But it's still trying to grow some green, so I'm hoping they're okay. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and have my gorilla cart, and I have some soil in the back of the car. I'll get these filled up and try to get these planted today. All right, be back in a bit. Okay, so I have this bag soil. It's showing that it is 50 pounds. And when I asked at the store, they told me that it's about 3 cubic feet of soil. And those pots or little beds are 4 by 1 by 1. Oh, I think it's 1.5. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fill it up with something else first. Let's see. I don't know if you can tell. No, it's too bright back there. But that bright spot right there is a compost heap that we have a tarp laying over. It's mostly rabbit manure and pine shavings from the that we had in the bottom of the cage in the little catch tray thingy. But now that the rabbits are outside, we don't have that those trays underneath there anymore. But I'm gonna go and I'm gonna use that. And there's pine shavings too from the little birds, the baby chickens that were in the brooder. I'm gonna put all of that in the bottom of there and then put the soil on top. And hopefully that'll be okay. But I know the rabbit manure will be fine, and hopefully the pine shavings, as they break down, will use up the nitrogen, the extra nitrogen that's in the baby chicken poop. But we shall see. Yeah, we'll see. I'll put a little bit of the compost in there first, and then put the soil on top, and then plant in that. All right, I'm gonna put you on time lapse. I need to get these out and then use my little gorilla cart to go scoop up that. Take you guys over here to look at this stuff quickly. I am so surprised in just the short time that we've had this stuff piled up here, how good it looks. Look at that. Now, yes, you can still see the whole wood chips in there, but it's lots of really good compost. In there. Pull that up. Yeah. I'm happy with that. And we still have plenty. Alright, now these bags have been out here for a minute. But I'm going to this box that it was delivered in. I'm going to use this in the bottom because it fits perfectly. I'm going to get these filled and then go on from there. right, you guys, so I'm gonna flip you over real quick and let you guys see what this Becto is like. Hang on a second. Look at that. See how rich this stuff looks? Okay, now you can still see my cardboard box, and it's still probably about 2 inches. Let's see. I'm that guy that measures with my finger. That's about 3 inches from the top. And I did 1 gorilla cart full of our compost in there and 2 bags of the Becto. So I think for the second one, I'm gonna do 2 loads of our compost and then go get 3 bags of Becto to finish filling this guy up and have enough to fill him up. But look, can you see where I wasted it? Look at how rich and dark that is in comparison to our native soil. Now, our native soil isn't bad. It's just I'd rather avoid the juggy one because there is, you know, the whole net tree thing. But you see how rich and dark that is. I'm excited to try this stuff out. So I'm gonna run and get some more soil, and I will catch you guys in the next one when I have all that filled up. All right, you guys, I'm gonna run and I'll catch you next time. Bye.